Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Singular Sensation Online. I'm your host, Jenny Walls. Before we kick off our show, we want to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is Aboriginal land. We are bringing the show to you from beautiful Stratford, Ontario this evening. And this land has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. As settlers, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Now, long before today, there have been Aboriginal peoples who have been the stewards of this place in particular. We acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, Iroquois, Ojibwe, and Chippewa people. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. We recognize and deeply appreciate the historic connection to this place. We also recognize the contributions of Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples that they have made both in shaping and strengthening this community in particular, and our province and our country as a whole. As settlers, we recognize the contributions and historic importance of Indigenous people, and that they must clearly and overtly, they are connected to our collective commitment to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our communities, and in particular to bring justice for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls across our country. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's start the show.
In Times Square, more gathered and called for a better tomorrow.
This is a transformative time, one that should not be ignored.
It's about one moment, the moment before it all becomes clear, and in that one moment, you start to believe there's nothing to fear.
It's about 1 second, and just when you're on the verge of success, the sky starts to change, and the wind starts to blow. And oh, you're suddenly a stranger. There's no explaining where you stand. And you know that you sometimes have to go round an unexpected bend, and the road will end in a new world for me to follow.
A new world waits for my reply. A new world holds me to a promise, standing by.
That, of course, was the video for The New World. And we are so thrilled to welcome the creator of this video all the way from the West Coast. We've got Jimmy Larkin. Jimmy, hi.
Hi. So excited
Thank you
to
so
be
much
here.
for joining us. Oh my gosh. So where in the world are you right now? Well, I know you're from New York. You live in
I
New
am
York
from New York.
now.
I am from New York, actually born in New York, and I live in New York City, which is why there's so many New York undertones to that video. You know, I love it. But I'm actually out here in La Jolla, California, in San Diego.
And what were you working on out there when all of this COVID nonsense hit? I'm calling it nonsense because that's how, right today, that's how I choose to deal with it.
It's nonsense in America. It certainly is. It's nonsense out here.
Goodness. So what were you working on?
I was doing a new musical, Fly the Musical. It's a Peter Pan story, and I was working on that at La Jolla Playhouse as the dance captain and the swing, the male swing. And I was out here doing that at the time that everything hit. And it was soon after the pandemic really started to sweep the US that I decided I wanted to create some art.
Now, what inspired this video? And a thing I like to ask people about is why I ask what you were doing when this all hit is I find it so inspiring, the turnaround people in our community, the theater community, have made from when this all started and things started shutting down to creating such inspirational and beautiful work. What about this piece called to you?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest inspiration behind the whole piece was just the resilience of the theater community. You know, no one's getting paid to do any work right now, yet there are people, so many people are.
And we're frozen in time with Jimmy Larkin. He'll be back. You know, my very first role in
I'm back.
He's back! I was gonna break into Reefer Madness singing, Jimmy, where are you? But no one needs to hear that. Please go on. So much work is being created. You're right. Absolutely. And it is inspiring.
Am I back?
You're back. You're here. Tell us everything.
So the thing that inspired it most was just the resilience of the theater community. You know, everyone's been making art, and everyone is so eager to make art, and no one's getting paid for it. And everyone's making art for amazing organizations and such. And so I think that I was thinking about a bunch of different musicals and trying to figure out what works on screen. And then I was listening to this song, and I just was hearing the lyrics, and I was like, this really, really hits hard right now, and it really resonates very differently. And so I was like, I want to do this. And I reached out to a music director, Jonathan Brunner, who is absolutely incredible. And I needed his motivation, and he got it going. And he immediately laid down the tracks, got musicians to play, and it started just moving from there.
Oh, it's beautiful. And and the piece evolved.
The piece really
the world has been evolving so quickly. So how did you kind of move with the wave of things?
Right. I mean, from the time that I started to work on it until the time that I put it out there, it was about 2 months, and a lot happened in those 2 months, as we all know. And the piece really evolved. And I think that at first, when I was working on it, it was kind of just, it wasn't as much about, there was obviously a hopeful undertone, but by the time that we were coming out of it, it was after the protests had started, and people were starting to get out into the world again, and we were thinking about reopening after COVID, you know, and that is a whole different message from the start of the pandemic, you know. And I think it really, I believe in timing and everything, and I think that when it came out was even a stronger message, because it was like, okay, now that we're reopening the world, and now that we have this chance to kind of start fresh, how are we gonna move forward, you know, whether it be in the theater community or whether it be New York City or just the world at large, you know. Now that we've had the break, how are we going to move forward now that we're reopening?
Absolutely. And how many artists did you work with? We have singers and dancers. We were talking earlier in the week, and it was important to you to bring together the dance and the vocal aspect of it, because that's such a huge part of our musical theater community.
Yeah, the dancers were so important to me too, because, you know, I think that dancers are a little unrepresented in our community, and I think that there's not really many opportunities for them to shine individually too. And so I had different ideas of different choreographers choreographing bits to be a bunch of people dancing at once. And I was like, you know what? I really want to highlight these soloists, these solo dancers in the same way I'm highlighting the solo singers. But overall in the piece, there were over 75 people involved and 4 musicians, and yeah. And it kept on growing. It only kept on growing.
Wow. It's like the Stephen Sondheim birthday tribute. It started like this, but then it ended up just a beautiful opus of celebration.
There was a lot of people in that finale, a lot.
Yeah. Oh, it's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. Jimmy, thank you for this beautiful creation and for keeping us inspired and for joining us today. Where can people find more of what you're up to? How can we follow along?
Sure. My actual Instagram is just Jimmy Larkin, Larkin is my last name. And I also have another theater page that some people might know of. I just started it recently in quarantine called Let's Hear It for the Choice.
Okay.
And that's all musical theater content. It actually has more followers than I have on my own account, which is always funny.
Kind of like this show. I feel that.
Yeah, but my stuff is usually just my name. It's easy to find. Yeah, and I want to keep on making some more art and keep on showing how representation matters and try to keep some good art going.
Well, listen, you got some new friends up here in the north, and we want to. Yeah, we want to keep posted on everything you're doing and share it and support the best we can, because we really are all in this together. And thank you so much for sharing and for creating what you did. And we can't wait to share more of your work in the future.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Take care. What a small, big, small world. Big, small community. Small, big community. No one is here to listen to me talk. We're here about the guests. You guys, we have such a wonderful lineup of guests, people who are doing incredible things and keeping us inspired. And I know fewer people more inspiring than our next guest. We met on the set of a little TV show. Maybe we'll talk about it, maybe we won't. This is more about him than me. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, please welcome to the stage the one, the only, the legend, Micah Barnes.
Oh, no, what a great introduction. Oh, my God.
Oh my gosh, look at this theme. It's like this color palette is just working for us.
Like we have a creative director deep up in the sky.
Micah, how are you? It's so good to see you.
You know what? I'm not bad. You know how the COVID ride is? Like, I mean, I'm sure because you talk to everyone, right? So
yeah,
there are those days, and I've had a few. I was really super emotional a couple of days ago. I'm like, that's not going to help. You know, but I'm doing pretty good. And I think mostly it's because, well, here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to deepen the moment and go with the quiet, go with the we're not too damn busy, go with the go inside, get spiritual, don't need life to look like it used to look. That's the most important thing, I think.
Absolutely. And what I love about the guests that we've had on our show is that I think it's very comforting to know that, like I said with Jimmy, we are all kind of in this together, and it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be okay. Like you said, it really is a ride at Wonderland. I never asked to be in a seat on, but here we are. And I think, you know, you gotta do your best to go with it. I absolutely agree. And you just released a brand new album, Vegas Breeze. So let's start there. What inspired this? I mean, I've only been to Vegas once, and that's enough to know it's at least worth a catalog of albums. So how do you put all of Vegas in one album? At least,
so you know what did it? I was really intrigued with those showroom singers. You know, back in the day when the songs were like Broadway, musical theater, like movies, like the top 10 back in the golden era of Vegas wasn't like rock and roll. It was, you know, show tunes. And I was really intrigued with the idea of like trying my hand at that world. Because the first album before that, New York Stories, was very intimate, very late night, very jazz club, you know. And I thought, it's time for me to give like a little swagger, a little oomph to the whole deal. You know, I'm an entertainer, right? So, of course, Vegas was an easy fit. I kept bringing these tunes to the band. They were like, the band's the one that called it. They're like, you do realize these are like showroom tunes, right? From Vegas. I was like, oh, really? Okay. And then eventually just steamrolled, and we started to build the arrangements around my musical personality as if Micah Barnes was like suddenly transported to 1965 in the big showroom, and horns, girls, strings, the whole kind of pow. I really wanted to feel like you open the door and wham, there you are. That was the kind of record I wanted to make,
I love that. I love that. And you, I was saying in one of our promo pieces, you are making lemonade out of all of the lemons, and you were to do a tour to promote the album, and yet you've somehow still done the tour, but have not left your living room. So, and it was in association with different venues across from east to west, from coast to coast. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know you're going to perform for us tonight. Thank you. But tell us about this digital tour.
So you know what? The idea of doing a cross Canada virtual tour came very quickly. I mean, basically we pivoted. I heard from some audience members like, we're a little nervous about gathering in a concert. At the top of March. So it was like, okay.
Yeah.
We pulled the whole thing. And then my team was amazing. They all went, yeah, virtual tour is great. So, I had a lot of help. I had Eric Alper, I had Celine Peterson, and I had the wonderful Tom Allison, who was off screen, who was like helping me look good during this entire thing. And, that's not nothing when it's virtual.
Oh, listen, it's a whole
right? Whole deal. So I decided, okay, St. John's to Victoria. We're gonna do as if I'm really crossing the country. And so we streamed live from everybody's Facebook right in the venue in their town, which was so fun. Like, I know I didn't leave the living room, but what ended up happening was I really felt Halifax. I really felt, where was I? Saskatoon, I'm like really going from St. John's to Victoria gave me that feeling of like, okay, we sang the record for the people of Canada. And that really helped me sort of feel like we got a real release. It wasn't sort of, dead on delivery, which it could have felt like.
Yeah, and they were really great shows. I had the opportunity to tune into a few of them, and it's so great. And you're so great with an audience live, but it absolutely translated over the internet, I guess you would say. And it's kind of like your own, reality show without judges. And just for the audience. It said, there's the segue.
There's a segue if I've
ever going. Where are we going with this? So, for those who don't know, it's a statement of our country's star system when your biggest credit is losing a reality show no one remembers.
Oh.
But you know what? I'm proud of having that as my intro wherever I go.
Yeah, I remember that. And listen, you know what? Honestly, it was so for people who don't know, Jennifer and I met on a really tough circumstance. Am I wrong?
No, rarely. You are rarely wrong.
That one in particular. Also, not only being a contestant on a reality show, which is hell, but also coaching a show like that is hell.
I can't imagine.
I can't. First of all, you can't play favorites. You've got to be there for everybody. I was challenged up the wazoo every single day. They would throw me in a room and then throw girls at me like one every 5 minutes ago.
I know, I was
life-changing.
It was like, and we were young. I think I was 20 just a couple years ago. I was, basically the same age I am now. I look the same.
In diapers, as I recall.
I mean, but it's so crazy though. The things you learn, the people you meet, and the relationships you forge. We met and remained connected, and it was one of the most beautiful gifts that I took a lot from that show. I really did. Considering, how young I was and how completely overwhelmed. I went from working at a pretend castle with horses and boys to living in a house and living in a hotel room with a bunch of girls competing for one role. How do you mentally wrap your head around that at 22?
It sounds literally like the scariest reality show for the contest.
COVID's scary. I don't know which is scarier. Scary on different levels, different kinds of roller coasters. But what I will say is people like you, Micah, you really made it palatable and hospitable. And I will always be grateful for you for that gift that you gave all of us. And, geez, I haven't thought about that show in a while.
We'll have a little private sidebar. It was hard.
I mean, I couldn't go without at least bringing it up once. But listen, this is not about me. This is about you. You have graciously agreed to perform for us, ladies and gentlemen, everyone across the internet. My goodness, how lucky are we? Micah, what will you be performing for us tonight?
I decided I'm going to take the title tune of my little record and I'm going to sing it for you guys. Why the hell not?
I love it. Everyone, Micah Barnes.
Thank you, love. All right, y'all. Imagine that we can travel not only in physical space, but through time. I want to take you far away from it all. Down in the desert, there's a place that I know. Just 1 weekend, we can feel that Vegas breeze. That Vegas breeze, bringing back sweet memories. The road ahead's a mystery, a song that we long to know. Under the neon stars, who knows what fortune calls? Where the rue and the may fall, who knows where the night may hold? There's something blowing in that breeze. One kiss and magically, tomorrow suddenly became a game for two. Come on, let's roll the dice. Order something smooth on ice. We got all the sweet paradise underneath the Vegas moon. I confess that I never guessed you would stay to play all night. I said the band gon' swing, the shots gon' ring, ring a ding till the morning light. Keeping cool by the hotel pool, it's a great big swinging playground. And if we miss our plane back home, well, we can blame it on that Vegas breeze. The lucky stars brought you to me. The future's ours if you believe that big dreams can come true. Darling, take my hand and we'll wander this wonderland. Time to talk about wedding plans. Give them on that Vegas breeze. Shut me up, I won't eat my day. The band gon' swing, but the shots gonna ring, ring a ding through the morning light. The great big playground. And if we miss our plane back home, we'll make a Vegas love song we will tell. Years from now by the wishing well, how we heard those wedding bells ringing in them Vegas breeze. Vegas breeze. I can feel that Vegas breeze. I wanna take you away. Away. Oh, Vegas breeze.
Micah Barnes, the one and only. That was beautiful. I felt like I was there.
Oh, fantastic. Want to take people somewhere. We all got to go somewhere soon, man.
I know. And hey, listen, you are bringing the gift of travel without having to pay for an airline ticket. What a gift. And
Awesome.
So we can see more and learn more and find out how to buy all of your music, micahbarnes.com.
That's the spot, babe.
And for coaching, are you still coaching? Doing the...
You know it every day. It's been fantastic. Now I'm coaching in Melbourne and New York and Regina, you know? All online.
Melbourne, New York, Regina.
All the
I
glamour.
mean, he's international, folks. He's international. Well, listen, thank you so very much to you and your home film crew for joining us tonight. And it's so good to see you and chat, and all the best with all of the virtual touring and then the real touring once the road goes back
I
to.
gotta say, I love being on your TV show. You are literally the best TV show host I think I've been with for years. I mean, I can. CBC, are you listening to this? Are you seeing this, girl?
I may not solve a problem like Maria, but I sure can host my own show.
Right? Eat that, bitches.
From your lips to some executives' ears.
Right?
Here we go. Everybody, tag CBC.
Right on.
Do it. Just kidding. Don't do it. Mika, you are so kind. You are so generous. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll get to see you soon.
Have a great show, love. Mwah.
So much. Take care. Bye-bye. So nice. Who would have thought? Who would have thought entering a reality show that, might I also add, I did not expect to get past the screening. That's how most of my musical theater auditions go. But you never know. You guys, you got to take a chance, do a thing, because you never know what is going to happen. And you can meet wonderful, amazing people like Micah Barnes. So definitely check out micahbarnes.com to see how you can get all of his recordings. And if you're looking for some coaching, check out singersplayground.com. I've studied with Micah, and I got to tell you, he is wonderful and lovely and kind and generous. And check it out. Check it out. All right. Our next guest is the host of a new podcast. It is called Voicing the Circle. It is an Indigenous-led podcast about the performing arts in our country, and he's a friend of the show from just a few years ago, and I'm so thrilled to welcome him back. Everybody, please join me in welcoming Dillan Meighan-Chiblow to the show. Hello, welcome.
Hi. Oh, hi, Jenny.
Oh, hi. So nice to see you again.
So funny to find you here. Oh my gosh.
I mean, you know, we're all here. We are.
Yeah.
We are, and we met at Singular just a couple years ago. Like,
Yeah.
we're very, very young and fresh.
I mean,
Everyone on the show is young and fresh.
we're still young and fresh too. Yeah.
Listen, like I'm telling you, it's a prerequisite. Young and fresh. That's what the internet does these days. We're talking about. But I'm so happy to have you joining us tonight. You're hosting a new podcast that you created, and we're going to get into all of the things. But let me know, what were you working on? I like to ask people what was going on when COVID hit for you. What was going on in your world?
Okay, so I was in Las Vegas. Funny that Mika Vegas. It's kind of, isn't this lining up like really? I didn't.
Well,
it's
that
hilarious.
is just.
So I was in Las Vegas. My husband was doing a conference, and like he's doing a conference in Vegas, so of course I'm gonna go because.
I mean.
Duh. And then we went to see Drag Race live. It was amazing. And then we went to see Drag Brunch. Like, these were all tickets that we couldn't afford. But, like, looking back in hindsight, the pandemic hit. I'm kind of glad we did it. And then, yeah, we arrived back in Montreal, where we were living at the time. And then, like, when we got home and turned on the news was like, if you're coming from traveling, you need to self-isolate for 2 weeks. And we were like, whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were in an international airport. We were in a tight thing. And then we also, like, we were in bars, like in casinos, jammed next to people.
Yeah, Vegas is not known for social distancing regularly.
Yeah, so we were lucky we didn't get sick. And then my mom wanted us to come up home right away. And I was like, give us 2 weeks before we do that. And then, yeah, so that's what we were doing.
Yeah, wow. What an adventure. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
But and since the pandemic hit, you have created something so beautiful called Voicing the Circle, which is your new podcast. So what inspired you to start this podcast?
Yeah, well, you know, I had the idea for well over a year, and it just never felt right to start it. But essentially, my idea was that I work a lot in Indigenous theater. And so I meet a lot of other Indigenous artists, which has been so enriching for me, coming from like a very commercial Western training program. I did too. programs. And so I know how much knowledge and lived experience they have that has taught me so much and has given me so much strength and has helped me be a better artist and a better advocate for myself. And so I was just thinking, like, people need to hear these types of conversations. I mean, people are having them all the time, and they're just not being put out there, maybe because of the rule, you know, that unspoken rule is kind of a spoken rule, where the rehearsal room is a sacred place, and, you know, what happens in rehearsal stays in rehearsal. But that was always positioned to me as something to keep, like, the performers safe, you know, if you're doing very vulnerable work. And I think from my lived experience and the experience of others, that doesn't always work that way. It doesn't always keep the artist safe. And so I kind of want to break that rule, because who made that rule? Probably somebody from a long time ago, not like they're around to, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of rules in musical theater that we all follow that are from who knows when. And it's kind of like, why are we still upholding these rules? I don't get it. And so, like, we kind of tackle those issues on the podcast as well. I have guests on who are First Nations, who have Asian heritage, Black heritage, got white people on too, because I feel like everybody should be at the table to have these conversations. So, yeah.
And that ties into what I wanted to bring up next is the symbol that represents the podcast is the medicine circle, that imagery. Can you describe to us the meaning of the circle and what it contains, what it includes?
Yeah, absolutely. Inside the medicine wheel, there's 4 colors, and inside those 4 colors, they represent so much. In that one circle, there is countless and countless and countless of teachings inside that. There's the 4 directions, the 4 medicines, 4 races of man. We have the 7 directions as well, a bunch of things inside the circle. But one thing inside Ojibwe from Gittiganzi B, Garden River First Nation, and one of the things I was always taught is that my people's teachings always included everyone, because everybody was always inside our wheel. And, you know, if you look at the medicine wheel, it's perfectly balanced in that way. And I feel like through colonization, the hundreds and hundreds of years of colonization here on Turtle Island in Canada and the States, that the circle, we can probably all agree upon this, has become really, really unbalanced. And so this is just kind of my attempt with my peers in our own way to try to bring more balance back to the circle. So yeah, that was kind of my intention behind that. And I grew up with, in my culture, enough of my culture, and I always had that in mind. And, you know, the world just isn't like that. So this is like my little jab to try to help balance things a bit more.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and thank you for explaining the imagery. And you really do; it really does hold true to the work that you're doing on the podcast and the guests that you're having on. Is there who have you had on so far, and maybe is there a conversation or a situation that really held special significance or that was particularly memorable that you talked about?
Yeah, I mean, they're all so memorable. Everybody has such a unique, you know, everybody's story is unique and special, and I'm so grateful that people come on and share. But I've had my friend Sam Brown on. People have probably seen her perform in Toronto. She's performed at Soul Pepper. She was in another play before the pandemic hit. Like, I'm pretty sure her play was closing as the pandemic. Anyway, my friend Sam Brown, and she told me one story, and I am sure she doesn't mind me sharing this because it's on the podcast. But she was performing in August Osage County, and Sam's Indigenous, and so she was doing the Indigenous part. And that play, from our perspective, is quite problematic, especially the way it's done. What was going on in Osage County at the time that the play is taking place is actually a lot of very horrible things were happening to the Indigenous people on that land. And that's kind of, that informs the world of the play. At least it should. And it's not always done that way. It's always just kind of told through a white narrative. And even though there's an Indigenous person in there, nothing's really, in this production, it's not like the Indigenous character was given that voice. And so that's a reality of the play. And the other problem with that play that I have, and I think a lot of people have, is that we talk about this a lot, right? On the podcast, we talk about what are we teaching the audience when we put on a play or a musical or anything? What is the audience walking away with? Are we teaching them something incorrect? Are we teaching them something hateful, something racist? And I believe August Osage County, the way that it's usually done, it does that. There's a line in there where the motherly character says, "Oh, there's an Indian up in the attic," and then the audience laughs. And so it's kind of like we have a responsibility as storytellers, as artists, to kind of think, what are we teaching the audience? Are we literally teaching them to laugh at Indigenous people? Kind of, in that certain production. And so we kind of talk about, you know, the perspective of that, and is it really truthful storytelling if we're not using the actual facts of what was happening around that time in history? And yeah, we explored those dynamics. That conversation with Sam taught me so much. She's so incredible and she's so strong. And she shares such great insight for free. So I recommend, you know, she's our first episode, so start there. It's a good place to start.
Listen, let's start at the very beginning. So definitely subscribe to Voicing the Circle, the podcast. You can find them where you find your favorite podcasts. Who do you have coming up on the show?
Okay, I usually wait to announce, but I'll happily announce this because she's a friend of the show, and to me, she's a very big deal. I got Alexis Gordon to say yes. I have Alexis Gordon. I can't believe she said yes to me. We talked about it on the podcast a little bit too, our time and love of Singular Sensation and like how we miss it. You know, it's such a warm place for young artists to go. And like we talk about safe spaces a lot on my podcast. Yeah. And I'm thinking like Singular Sensation was a perfect, ideal, safe space. It really was. Jenny, like it really was. I always felt really warmed and really welcome there, and everybody was so supportive. It didn't even matter if you're like a super serious singer. It's just some people sharing art and sharing joy, and I miss it.
Yeah, I miss it too. I really do, and it was an opportunity to meet people like you, and I think you had just graduated when we met.
Yes. Oh, I did just graduate when we first met. Yeah. Oh, like last month.
Yeah. Same. And I was saying that to some of another one of our guests later on in the show came while she was in school as well, and now she's done Stratford and has gone, coast to coast and performed, and it's so exciting, for me to reconnect with all of you and celebrate the incredible work you're doing. And I'm so glad that it was a space and hopefully continues to be a space, even though our space looks a little different now, but continues to be, that safe space where we're all welcome. Oh, we all miss it. Yeah, we do. But thank you for saying that, Dillan. That's so wonderful. And so Alexis Gordon coming up. Also, she just had a birthday, so happy belated birthday.
I can't believe she's 21 again. Huh.
I know, right? I mean, you would know she's only a year younger than I am. What are we talking about? Dillan, okay, enough of this. Enough of this. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing with us. Everybody, subscribe to Voicing the Circle, Dillan's podcast. Check out all of the episodes from the beginning to now to Alexis Gordon and beyond. And thank you so much for joining us and for sharing. And we can't wait to keep posted on everything you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bon appetit, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
You guys, yeah, we all miss it. We do. But people in our business are very resilient, and there is a lot going on, including this Gabby Epstein live online, and it is being presented by Stream Stage and the Harold Green Jewish Theater. It is happening on Wednesday night at 7:30 this coming Wednesday. Check out www.hgjewishtheater.com to get your tickets for Wednesday night's performance to see our friend and yours, the one and only Gabby Epstein. It is going to be Gabby Epicstein, and you can coin that. That one's just for you for free. Speaking of resilience, our next guest is such a beautiful representation of how resilient and how creative and how hardworking our theater community is. You may have seen him on stage in the Toronto production of Come From Away. He is joining us tonight to talk about something very important for our community. Please welcome Ali Momen to this show.
What's
Hello,
up?
welcome.
How you doing?
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. How
Nice to see you.
how are you holding up?
I'm holding up. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm doing good.
You are keeping busy.
I do what I got to do.
You know, so Ali, you were part of the Toronto company of Come From Away,
Yes, I
and then COVID hit
yeah.
uninvitably. So, and we thought, a couple weeks, and then we'll be back to business as normal.
Yeah.
And then not so much. So it's been a lot to process for all of us in the arts community. But you have come up with an incredible new idea, a new pitch, a movement, if you will, for the art sector called Arts New Deal. And can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, what inspired you to start this? And then we'll get into the details of the movement itself.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what inspired me was that I'm like a really big kind of aficionado of FDR and American politics and the policies of the New Deal, which came right at the time of the Great Depression. And very quickly after this situation arose, I was quite aware that this was seismic and something profound needs to happen. And I also knew that there was a vacuum and that the way that we go about our industry has now changed, and we have to do it in a different way. And that's when I realized that government actually does need to step in. And then I remembered that there was a program called the Works Progress Administration during the New Deal, done by FDR. And what it did is it viewed the artist as a worker and an employed artist all across the country to contribute and to build the infrastructure of the country culturally. So I was like, this is what we need to do. We all need to kind of like, we need to get to work now. Yeah, we need jobs. And so
the kind of the idea behind this is to redistribute art workers, people in theater and film, television who can't work in our field, to redistribute that to contribute to the infrastructure of the country, essentially. And what kind of detail? What does that look like?
Sure. So basically, it's like you view infrastructure, not just roads and bridges, but you view culture as an infrastructure. And the reason you do that is that, culture accounts for 3% of our GDP, 650,000 jobs. Each job in culture gets 3.7 jobs. So what you would do is you would hire artists all across the country to paint murals, to do like an augmented reality version of the Art Gallery of Ontario, to become music teachers, dance teachers, art teachers, acting teachers all across the country. So robust arts education across the country. You would hire artists to do what they did back in the day, back in 1935, is that they created city guides all across the country in America. And they had some of, at that time, unknown people, but who became like prolific writers. For instance, Ralph Ellison, he's the guy who wrote The Invisible Man, but he was actually on a WPA commission to write the City Guide of New York. So we could create, brand new city guides for all the towns and small cities, big cities across the country. So look, here's the thing. It's like, as artists, we can't, give me a shovel to like build the bridge. I don't know how nice that bridge is going to look, but like, give me a canvas to express my art, and I guarantee you that I could, really make a difference for the country and expand it forward.
And I think another thing that this does for, the country at large is to show how hardworking artists are. It's not about, they see, like we were talking the other day, they see kind of the win, the product. They don't see all the work, all the hard work and dedication and hustle that it takes to get to that. It's not a cushy job full of glitz and glamour. That's like
no, it isn't.
Part of it.
It's a job. It's a job. And, I think one of the things that is happening, and I hear this refrain from a lot of artists, regardless of the discipline, is that, we are de-romanticizing the thing that we do. I think for the longest time, and particularly when you first start as an artist, it's very romantic. And then as you do it, you realize, wow, this is a job. And it's important for people to recognize that it's that it's an industry like anything else. And it's a job like anything else, even though, it is quite joyous and magical and lovely. Nevertheless, it is a job. It is what puts clothing on us. It's what feeds our children. So it's making sure that people realize that.
Absolutely. And now you had a petition up at change.org that also included an interview that you did with a news outlet in Toronto. Now we have a website, and we're going to share the website for Make Arts Work.
.ca, baby.
There we go. There we go. So what can we find on this website? How can we support this movement for our community?
Yeah, so we've laid it all out as to what it is, and then there's also a section which is called Learn More, which is like a series of like articles and essays by kind of academics and artists and poets across the world who are calling for a WPA like program. But my favorite part of the website is that if you hit Act Now, the button Act Now is everywhere. There are two things. Obviously, you can sign the petition, but the thing I'm most proud of is that there's a little button that you press, and it sends an email to our Heritage Minister, Stéphane Guilbeault, and it's a pre-written email, and you just got to put your name under it. So far, this guy's received. We put this website up yesterday. So far, this guy's received 200 emails. So I kind of think we just got to keep on bump, and then hopefully he'll see what's up. Because look, a lot of this relief that's going down right now is for organizations and institutions, and that's great. I love them. Whoop-de-doo. However, I think every artist watching this is realizing that it's artists that also need relief. And the difference here that I really want to do is the government needs to become an employer for us. The government needs to give us jobs. The government needs to create community art centers all across the country, and they need to throw artists into the community, because culture is profoundly important. And the thing I will say is that, the WPA, it happened in 1935. American culture did not really exist as we knew it. It was European. It was an imitation of Europe. But after the WPA, this overproduction of art, because it was a profound overproduction. People like Mark Rothko, Arthur Miller, Langston Hughes, heavy hitters, Dorothy West, an African-American novelist who became prolific. These people came through the WPA, and it made America America. And I think we have an opportunity to really take Canada, push it to the next level right now, because we're all sitting. We should be making art.
You're not wrong. And again, it's nobody's asking for something for nothing. It is about
no handouts,
exchange, a quality exchange, because we are so specifically trained and have such beautiful and creative things to offer. Yeah, I don't know if I could build a bridge. I come from a line of construction work, but I don't know that I've inherited that.
Yeah. Because that's a typical, Jenny, that's a typical infrastructure, right? It's like, we're going to build a bridge. When the economy goes to shit, some politician comes out there and it says, we're going to build bridges, we're going to build roads. That's great. I ain't gonna build a bridge or a road, but you know what? It's to recognize that culture is also a bridge, culture is also a road, and those are things that we can be doing right now.
Absolutely. So everybody, check out makeartswork.ca.
.ca.
The buttons. Ali has set it all up so that we can just do this.
Email that guy. Email Stéphane Guilbeault.
Absolutely. We're on it, and we will continue to support through Singular. So stay tuned to us to see how you can support Arts New Deal. And this is instead of the change.org petition. This is moved over.
Yeah, like it's all there. But if you go makeartswork.ca, it's all there. It's laid out. It's simple. I found this, the simpler you make it for people, the more they like it. So
listen, no arguments here. Well, Ali, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and for starting this and for, being such an advocate for our community.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Congrats on your show. It looks great. I mean, you hustling. I love it. I love hustlers. So good for you.
It's what we got to do. It's what we got to do. Thanks so much for your time, Ali. Wish you all the best. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Arts New Deal. So check it out, makeartswork.ca. Everything you need to support this movement is there. And there's a lot of talk about, CERB and about workplace subsidies and about, all of these things that are put in place to support during this crazy time. But, this is a way for us really to do what we do and contribute the way we do. Speaking of arts, there is something very cool going down. We have a community event announcement. Now, this is the Stratford Perth Museum, which is where we're broadcasting from. They are hosting a community event outdoors on their beautiful grounds, and that's here at 4275 Huron Street in Stratford. Now, it's called Blank Stage. Now, it's performances from the porch, and it aims to bring the many different voices of our community together to deliver theater and music in its innumerable innumerable forms, which is song, spoken word, poetry, storytelling, that kind of thing, under a unifying theme. Now, the first installment of the program is going to happen during the weekend of August 15th and 16th, and the theme is gathering. So tickets will be available starting this weekend for Saturday, August 15th and Sunday, August 16th, matinee performances. Now, you can find them on Facebook at Blank Stage Performances from the Porch, or on the Stratford Perth Museum website, and that is www.stratfordperthmuseum.ca. We will be putting up a follow-up about this, and we're going to be chatting about this awesome event in a couple more minutes, maybe with our next guest. Now, if you watch TV or you like theater, you're probably going to recognize our next performer. My personal favorite show, I mean, any Dynasty lovers out there, you're going to know what I'm talking about. If you watch Grey's Anatomy, if you watched NYPD Blue, if you've been to the Shaw Festival, if you've been to Shakespeare in the Park in Toronto, I could talk more about his credits, but, you know, I'm just going to let him speak for himself because he is wonderful. He has beautiful things to say, and we're going to bring him onto this show. Please welcome the one, the only Allan Louis to this show. Hello. How are you? Oh, look at that shirt.
I wore this for you.
I'm honored. I bought a new art piece that matches my outfit for you. You know.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. Hi, Allan. Joining us from so very far away, across the hall, from Melrose Place in Stratford, Ontario. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for asking me, Jenny. And hi, everybody out there.
You guys, it's Allan Louis. He's on this side, not this side. Everything's backwards. So tell us how. Everything's upside down and inside out these days. So, Allan, how are you keeping inspired these days? How are you staying positive and joyful, so to speak?
Well, I tell you, it's tough. You know, just making sure that I sort of stay in touch with my feelings. You know, I don't want anything to start coming out of the side of my neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not why I'm wearing my hair down.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, and just saying yes. I'm participating in a performance piece that I'd written, and so I've gotten a chance to like go back and retool it and look at it again. It's sort of you know, staying creative. That's it.
And I think that can be tricky sometimes at these times, but I think, like you said, like just being in touch with your feelings and not like, as you've told me, not shooting all over yourself, which is, you know, right out this way. You guys, I gotta tell you, I'm so excited for Allan to be joining us because we watched your conversation with our friend David Connolly, and we're not copying David, but you know, it inspired us to bring you on to talk to us ourselves. We had a couple conversations in our yard about perspective and about it's easy at this kind of a time to look too far into the future about what's going to happen next, or look too far into the past about how have I been dealing with this, or what am I doing? And you've mentioned a really great analogy about the past and the future versus the present. Can you share that with our audience? Because I absolutely love that, and I check in with it like on a daily basis.
Well, absolutely. It's I can't take credit for it though. It's out there. If you want more information about it, it's simply this. The past is depression. The future is anxiety. So if I'm in one or both places, some people are very talented that way. They can be in both places at once, or vacillating back and forth. You're not going to be in a good place.
It's very true, and ever since you know, you imparted that wisdom on me, I've really taken it to heart. I mean, guys, I don't want to say I do this show for me and not just you guys, but like, me too. I take notes just as much as anyone else does on the show. And another thing I love that you talked about was the resentment scarf.
Oh yes, that's a big one. You know, a lot of people in our business, you know, they train us all right off the bat to get to have thick skin, as they say. There'll be a lot of no's in your career, so you've got to get a thick skin. But the reality is, like, when I look back at my career, I think, you know what, there are times where I actually created a no. And, I created that no between jobs that I didn't get by sitting at home, needle pointing a resentment scarf. And then when I showed up at my next audition, I wrapped it around my neck and I showed up. Just completely resentful and unaware that I was doing it. And enough of those no's, my scarf was now dragging on the floor.
Nobody wants a scarf that drags on the floor in any circumstance.
So every time I showed up with all of that resentment, all of that dissatisfaction, all of that unhappiness about who I think I am and where I should be, about an audition that you probably had no control over, it's a business after all. We actor, doctor, lawyer, if doctors worried as much as we do,
we'd all be in trouble, wouldn't we?
We'd all be in a lot of trouble. We'd all be in a lot of trouble. So when I started really considering what I do, as that it's my career, that it's my métier, and I just was like, you know what? You're just there's too much feeling and sensitivity around it. It's a business, man.
Yeah.
It's a business, and it's when I started to grow up as an artist, and that really sort of amounted to my artistry did not depend on you to give me a job to prove that I was an artist.
Yeah.
And
I think that's so important in a time right now when we're not even really able to get those jobs or audition for those jobs. And so much I think of artists, what we take in is from other people. And right now we're kind of in a position where we have to create it for ourselves.
Yeah. And I think that's the downfall of being an artist, the idea that we have to take it from other people. It has to. We have to generate it. It has to come from us.
Absolutely.
So I'm always looking for ways to, as they say, get out of my way and just go ahead and be happy and grateful that I get to do that. That I get to be a creator. It's like yourself and this show. Get out of here.
Ta-da! Well, we were talking about.
Apparently, nobody gave you permission to do this. You're just doing it.
Yeah, no, and it's so funny. We talk about I choose joy. That's kind of a theme in our passing, and I found that I'm now making that conscious decision because right now it's so easy to get caught up in that, like you say, the resentment of, well, I don't get to go back to work, and well, I don't get to do this, and well, everyone else gets to do that, but I don't get to do this. So rather than me getting stuck in that loop. It's like a cassette tape. So those who don't know what a cassette tape is, Google it. It's like being in the middle of that tape just on repeat, and it never gets you anywhere. You just spin into the floor. Yeah. So choosing joy, it's like, okay, yeah, this sucks today.
Yeah.
What on the other side of the spectrum is there that's good? And like, it's incredible what that does.
Yeah. Well, that's what schools do, institutions that teach us how to act and sing and dance and everything. It sort of prepares us for someone else's work, and then we're able to sort of take that work, put it on our bodies, and dance it and sing it, or act it, And I'm always amazed that a guy that can play 4 chords on a guitar has a record deal. Like, how did you do that?
Well, it's like you say too, it's a business. And when I started working with younger, like, cabaret artists in Toronto, I would tell them, like, the word business is a bigger word than show. So sometimes, like you say, an audition that's completely out of your control, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you, but we're so in a place of putting that opinion or that casting or that lack of casting as a judgment on our value.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And it becomes part of our art. And that's the sad part.
Mm-hmm. And it's so separate.
It's so separate.
If you break it down. Yeah. Was there an instance or a circumstance in your career that kind of, was there like a light flicking of the light switch, so to speak, like where you're like, okay, no, this isn't working out. I gotta switch I'm viewing all this or how I'm approaching this?
Well, I think, yeah. And it's been about a decade. I had one of those Hollywood moments where, I got as far as I could and I stayed in the 3%. There's a 3% margin of people that are actually supporting themselves in LA through their art and various other things that I was doing. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I was never going to get the kind of break I thought I should get. And my friend was like, well, wait a minute. Of all of us, you're the one that's been working consistently. You've gotten all the breaks. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't see that, And then I looked back at all of my friends and associates that I've worked with and all the wonderful people that are all doing so well and they're happy. And I'm like, well, why am I so dissatisfied? And it was about that time I sat down and started doing some writing around it, and it just started flowing, And I realized, okay, well, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with LA, and I'm moving on. And I didn't know where I was going, and that's how I ended up coming to, being invited to Canada.
And we're so glad you were.
So it's been a wonderful journey. But this journey in Canada since 2014 is what I use as proof that all that work that I did and everything that I share with people, I'm living proof that it works. It has to work. If the doors are going to close, I'm not going to sit there with my finger in the door while it keeps slamming.
Yeah, but it's amazing the amount of time we do spend doing that because, I need to suffer for my art, or no, I need to be miserable, or if I'm not suffering, I'm not succeeding, when really, what kind of life is that? Why are we doing that to ourselves? And there's so much more if you just change the perspective. Not to say that it's easy to do, which it's not, as I'm sure, we could talk a while about. It doesn't come easily or quickly.
Yeah. Well, there's a cycle of abuse too. We were the dregs of the earth. Women were considered less than desirable if they were involved in the theater, alcoholics, you name it. So there's been an ongoing idea from the public about what we are as people, loose morals, you name it. And so I think throughout the years, we've been trying to fix that and present ourselves as, no, we are people with morals. We are upstanding. We are upstanding. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, it's like we don't go to a 9-to-5. So, even the person that goes to a 9-to-5 goes, well, I go to a 9-to-5 every day. Yeah. And we're like, well, I had 3 months on a show and, so I've just been auditioning and, so we're always looking for some sort of proof that we are what we are, but I don't think we need it.
Yeah, it's really interesting, kind of that cycle of that need for either acceptance or approval or I don't know, vindication or just, whereas you got to just have it on your own.
Yeah.
It takes work to do that, but I've started doing this thing where every time I have like a negative thought, especially in a time like this, because I am prone to, and I've talked about it on the show before, I am prone to anxiety and depression, and it's something that I deal with outside of a pandemic. So this has been fun, but every time, like making the conscious decision of switching that thought to something positive, and they say even if it feels unnatural, which some days it really does, but doing it's work, but it's work worth doing.
Absolutely. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
We're creators. We can take the air out of a room. We can bring someone to tears. That's a lot of power.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power, and that's a lot to contend with for one person to sort of manage. But that's the gig. Yeah. You know what I mean? So keeping your day-to-day in check, whereas they say, we're the type of people that light is always coming into our vessel, but if our vessel's cracked, then we can't contain the light. So that's why a lot of us sort of end up falling through the wayside.
Wow, I really like that.
Yeah, people pay money for that,
Yeah, well, and it's like,
have you heard?
I don't know if it's a myth, a legend, a fable, or just true. My jury's still out. But I think what you were saying, like, it ties into what Ali was talking about too, about the make arts work, the arts New Deal that he's talking about, is that, yeah, people seem to think that being an actor is just you sleep till noon and do a show and do the net. They don't realize there's a 9 to 5, but there's also a 9 to 9 or a 9 to 8:30 and a 24/7. And we literally are living it all the time. You're embodying a character. You know, you're living in that mindset and in that cycle of whatever it is you need to do to be ready to do that show. You don't just clock in and clock out. And it's hard work and it's hustle, like Ali was saying. So this thing that we're talking about, the Arts New Deal, it really, I think, is going to say something to people that we want to do the work, put us to work. Let's do the thing. Like, bring it. We don't want to sit here. We can't sit here where, you know, it's harder to sit and accept than it is to exchange. Yeah. So I think that all ties in, you know, so interestingly and so brilliantly. And sometimes, and that's what I love about this show, is that there's a permission almost to just be real and talk to each other. It's almost like our live show. We joked that it was like group therapy. It was like a scene from Rent or something, but it's kind of extending on this. And I so appreciate you sharing that with all of it, because I think it's really important. And, you know, if you're not going to believe it from me, people, believe it from someone like Allan, because he knows what he's talking about. And, you know, we kind of touched a little bit on, you know, some of the fun things that you've done. Can you, like, give us like a fun story of either, I don't know, on set or in creating a show for theater? I know we've talked about the heavy inspirational stuff, and I thank you for that. Now give us something fun.
All right, I've got a good one for you. So I was on a show on the CW called Privileged, and you know, it was my first big show, and I'm number 4 on the show, and it's a lot of very young people, and it's the CW, which was at the time very young, very white, and a lot of people went to bat for me. So this was 2008 or something, and at the time I thought, okay, I'm going to get a full checkup, and I'm going to get facials, and I'm going to get myself ready to be on camera. And the facialist, she says to me, well, would you like some Botox? And I was like, what's Botox? Ooh. And she's like, oh, you will like it. It will sort of smooth and and make you And I was like, oh, well, that sounds nice. So, and then I saw a needle. I was like, what? What are you doing? But, you know, I was like, she says, no, just relax. It won't hurt. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went ahead and, you know, she's like, how much do you think you want? I was like, I don't know, just go for it.
Oh my God. Oh God.
So I'm on set, and Joanna Garcia, who is playing opposite me, she's supposed to, and I'm playing this very acerbic chef, very, very gay, very Stanley Tucci, very dry. Ooh, kind of guy that always, and sort of the patriarch of the family. But he always has opinions about everything, and they're all sort of very sort of under the current kind of opinions. But they're always reflected on his face, because he doesn't have a poker face.
Oh no, I see where this is going. Okay.
So Joanna Garcia is supposed to come in and say, Marco, don't give me the eyebrows. I know. And the director goes, Allan, just a little bit more eyebrows, okay? All right, let's just keep rolling. Reset. Marco, don't give me the eyebrows. And I was like, Allan, could you just a little more eyebrows, please? And at that point I was like, oh crap, my eyebrow can't move.
Oh no.
Oops.
Oh no.
And there was a boom mic right here, and I said it out loud, and everybody in Video Village heard it, and you could hear them roaring with laughter. And Joanna, who was like, she's like, what did you do to your face that your eyebrows can't move? Did you have Botox? I was like, I did. I'm trying to keep up with you, you little young white girls at CW. Give me a break, will you?
Oh my God.
The director screams back, yeah, okay, so Alan, just do the best you can, okay?
Oh no.
So I basically was like, she's like, don't give me the eyebrows. And I was like, what eyebrows?
Okay.
I'm sort of indicating with my hand at that point.
What do you mean? Oh my God. So there's a moral of the story, kids. If they ask you how much, leave. Don't do it. Or maybe not the day before. I don't know. I feel like that's something I would do. Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
That's like
I mean, what did I know? I didn't know anything. You know, it was my first show. I was really excited, and something about Botox, and I was like, it's just probably like a facial thing. And she said, oh, it'll make you really pretty and really smooth out your. And I said, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Hey.
And then I forgot about it until my eyebrows could not move. They weren't going anywhere. I was like,
Mine don't move, mostly because I just draw them that way. So, like, you know. Although in this heat, they're melting. I have eyebrows down to my ears at this point. You know, I don't know what it's like across the hall over there, but it's warm.
It's so warm.
Bless. So before we let you go, we talked a little bit right before we brought you on about Blank Stage happening in Stratford. I gave everyone the rundown, and we're going to post all about it. But give us like a quick Coles note before we let you turn your air conditioner back on.
Well, you know what? Just get on down there. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. You know, there'll be a little bit of a bar, and it's just a gathering and a get-together so that we can share some songs. I'm going to bring something incredibly wild to the whole thing because I can't help myself.
So you? Bringing it? Nah, doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
that alone, guys, is reason enough to come to Stratford the 15th and 16th of August. That alone.
Yeah, so it's going to be great fun. You know?
Amazing. Well, guys, we're going to post all about it in the Facebook group and on our Instagram so that you can find out where, when, why, how. Well, this is why. This is why you should come down. Alan, thank you so much. His eyebrows will move.
They will move. They can move now.
They can move now.
It took about 5 years, but they can move now.
Oh, God. You can come and ask him for the rest of the story.
Early days of Botox, you know. It was.
Oh my gosh! Listen, well, that's a conversation we'll have in the yard another day. But Alan, thank you so much for talking to us and for all of the wonderful advice and inspiration, because as only you can give. So, thank you, and I'm sure I'll see you crossing the driveway tomorrow.
Thank you, Jenny. I think the world of you, and keep going. This is a great forum, and I hope you guys out there stick with it because this is where it's at.
Oh. Allan Louis, thank you so much. Take care. Guys, from a legend. So you're welcome. You're all welcome. You're all welcome. Speaking of you're welcome, oh my gosh, our next artist, I met her doing a show at the Victoria Playhouse in Petrolia called Portia, and it is about Portia White, the Black Canadian opera singer, and I had never heard of her. And you know, I was at an event here in Stratford, and a woman came and did a piece about Viola Desmond, and she said, "Don't worry if you don't know the story. They don't teach it in school." And what came to mind was, oh my God, they don't teach about Portia in theater school. We need to. Okay, and also it's an excuse for me to bring on this beautiful, beautiful human who I adore very much to tell us a bit more about this iconic singer and what it was like to portray her in a show about her life. Everyone, please welcome to our show, Amber Tomlin.
Hey!
Hi, gorgeous.
Hi. How are you?
So nice to see you. I'm good. I'm hot. It's so
Right.
warm. I don't know what it's like
Listen.
where you're at. I'm like looking at a melting.
My hair doesn't know to go this way or this way. Like it's, I know.
Like I don't even. I well, listen. I washed my hair today, so that enough is enough of a win for me. Like, let's be honest.
Winning, absolutely.
Winning,
Same.
absolutely. So, Amber, you played Portia White in
Mhm.
play with. I guess would you call it a play with music because it's all
Yeah.
kind of like a classical jukebox musical.
I would say a play, and it kind of because Portia's musical, obviously, there
Mhm.
had to be music, and so it's really it was well adapted into the play.
Mhm. And it was a very beautiful piece. It was a very emotional
Mhm.
piece. Had you heard of Portia White before you auditioned for the show?
I'd never heard of Portia White before, and I'm so sad about that. But I'm so glad I know her now.
Mm-hmm. And what was the significance of being cast as this historical performer?
You know, it was my opportunity to tell people about Portia who didn't know about her either, just like I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And once I learned about her and her strength and her beauty and her musicality, I just couldn't wait to tell it. And the way that Lance Williver told it in this story and David Hogan directed it was beautiful.
Yeah, and I was ushering at the time at the theater, and
Yes, you
were. We had a deal as a team. We would do it an act at a time because I couldn't handle it. It was so emotional, and your performance was so powerful and beautiful, and it's a very intense show emotionally. Can you tell us kind of Portia's story? And then we'll talk a bit about what it was like stepping into that character, but give us a kind of an idea of who she was and because not a lot of people know who she is, and they really should.
Yeah, Portia White was actually born in Truro, Nova Scotia in the 1920s, I believe. And she always liked to sing. Her mother was a choir director, so she started to sing in the choir with her mother, and then started teaching and was teaching to pay for voice lessons. And I would walk long distances just to get her voice lessons. And then, was introduced to singing on radio and singing in the town. And then she got hooked up with a teacher, Ernesto Vinci, and ended up debuting in Toronto. And then she became a concert singer in the US and parts of Central and South America. And so being a woman in the 40s, and a woman of color, that was no small feat. So she was a real inspiration and, a history and music icon in Canada.
And you, like I said, you played her beautifully and throughout a large chunk of time in her life, from being a young girl to being this established young woman who was quite headstrong as well.
I think she got that from her father, though, William Andrew White. I mean, I did another workshop about his life, and I mean, what a man. It was interesting. I learned so much about Portia, and then I learned about her father, and I was like, oh, no kidding. No wonder. No wonder why she was so strong, because he was so strong. And her mother had a bunch of kids, and Izzy White, she had to have had the strength as well. So I don't think Portia could really escape it. And from what I understand of her family, like all of their children, William Andrew White and Izzy, most of them were very successful, maybe not necessarily in the arts, but in so many things. So she just came from that kind of family. So yeah, she was quite a woman.
Yeah, and your mother was played by the amazing Michelle E. White, another incredible Black musical theater performer in this country who is, I mean, she's just a hoot. We have to get her.
I love Michelle.
We really do.
Oh, I just talked to her recently, and we can never talk for 2 minutes. Like, we have to like block up because we just catch up, and we just love each other so much that we have to catch up on all aspects of life. And
yes.
I just love her so much, and she's such a light. She's such a light. From I was new to the business, really. It was my first equity show in Canada, and she just was so lovely and so warm. It made the experience that much better. I mean, what a special, not only the show, but working at the VPP, working with my beautiful Michelle, and everyone at the VPP. It was great all the way around.
They have a way. They have a way of assembling these magic teams of people. You know, and I say this with complete bias because I've looked at it a few times as well, because it's where we met, and then we did a Christmas concert together in big poofy dresses. Tried not to fall on top of each other.
Yes, yes, and trip. But we did well.
We did. You know what? We did. I fell the year before, so that's fine. So tell me, Amber, what was the most, like, we were talking about it being quite an emotional experience and an emotional piece. What was the most challenging aspect of the role, and what was the most kind of rewarding or exciting aspect of playing Portia?
God, I think the answer is the same for both. I think it was playing Portia. so
if you've seen the show, you know that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you know, it was playing a character, and especially this being really my first, I think the second character I played, but just getting to know them, and there wasn't a lot on her. I had done the research, and there was a lovely documentary, and there's some things on the internet, but just trying to capture who she was based on what I had. And I would listen to her speaking voice. She had, snippets of interviews and read about her. And one of the things I think that stood the most out to me was the way that she would pose in photographs, or even when she was singing. It was like this classical hands, slightly tilted head. And so those are the things I had to, that was the challenge, to try and just do what she did, or what, I don't know, emanate? Is that the word? Yeah. So embody, thank you, which ended up being the most rewarding thing, because there were times I remember I did a concert scene, her debut concert scene, and I just went there and like did the hands, and I just felt, yeah, this is Portia. You know, that was rewarding when you're like, okay, this is her.
Yeah, and it really was. As someone who saw it a few times, it was really a complete embodiment of voice and physicality. Like, you really paid such beautiful reverence to her style, to her performance, to her, like, even down to her speaking voice. Because when I met you as Amber, I was like, oh, that's a very different person. Performance, like, it really was. You really had, like I said, paid a beautiful tribute to her before. And I know you're going to perform for us tonight, not a song from Portia, but what was, if you had to choose, was there a song in particular that was either, you know, your, I don't know, saying your favorite song to perform in the show, but was there a song that was like, this is the, like, of the show for you?
It was her concert. So I think that was the top of Act 2 or the close of Act 1. I can't remember. But she had been studying with her teacher who in the play, and not necessarily in real life, but in the play was also her lover. So, you know, he was a white Jew. She was a woman of color. There was a taboo kind of relationship, and she's giving her and he was also her voice teacher. She's giving her debut concert in Toronto, and he's not there. So it was one of my favorite moments, because I don't know if that was necessarily going on in her head, but could you imagine being a woman of color in the 40s, debuting in Toronto, the pressure to do well? I mean, not even just like what we have today. I'm talking like you must do well because of your color, you know? And so I would think about the pressure she would have experienced in her debut to be great. And I wonder if she was even thinking that, but it just was the moment in the show where I could just feel like every night could just feel that moment, and then just put it into the song, which was 2 songs, but Oh Holy Night was one of the songs.
It was, and I already has behind you singing that song, and just Amber, but it was. I totally cut you off because I just was remembering.
No, it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear that the audiences, and they would tell us afterwards, we're feeling what we were feeling up there. Yeah.
You just, like I said, it was such an authentic, and it felt just, you were her. It wasn't, I'm just playing a role. It was, you were her. You managed to channel something that was just so powerful. And, you know, I feel like you really, yeah, it was so beautiful. And I thank you for all of the work that you put into that to bring her story to life. And we are going to post some references to Portia White, please, on our Facebook. Please look into her and her story and her voice. She, you know, to this day is credited as having one of the most beautiful voices in the country.
Yes. I found something on YouTube today. It wasn't there in 2017, I know, but they posted something that is like an album or something of her singing. Oh, so you can also do that.
You made her trend again, lady. So what are you going to share with us today? I know it's not from the show, but it's a beautiful song.
Yes, you know, I was just thinking about COVID and everything that's happening, and I just really feel like a lot of people could use some hope. There's always hope, and I really like to convey that message. So I'm singing You'll Never Walk Alone, which I think is, I think it's for now.
I think it's beautiful. Amber Tomlin, take it away.
When you walk through the storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky, and the sweet silver sound of our Lord. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll
Amber Tomlin. Even on a YouTube show, your final moment, I just can't. I can't with you. Thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your experience portraying this beautiful, strong, inspirational Canadian performer, and for sharing your beautiful voice. That if you can't get hope from that, I mean, I'm going to go there because I know you all have. I know, and what a beautiful gift. Amber, thank you so much. I hope that we get to see you on a stage again very soon. And until then, take care. And
you too. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. It's my honor. Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Guys, this show, I don't understand. I don't understand how we do it. I don't know. But wow, am I ever glad that we have such generous and wonderful guests. Before we go into our sponsored segment, sponsored by Hart House Theatre, we're going to do a giveaway. Tomorrow, they are offering another workshop. Last time we gave away a spot to the one of their workshops that they did 2 weeks ago. I'm stumbling all over my words because I'm a professional. But we are giving away 2 spots to tomorrow's U of T Spotlight Acting Through Song, featuring last episode's guest, Ms. Stardeming, and the wonderful Jennifer Stewart. So that is going to be happening tomorrow night online. If you want to get in on this, we are giving away two spots for this workshop. If you are interested, put in the comments, spotlight in the comments that are over there. I think they're over there. Everything's backwards on this program. I don't know what universe I'm in anymore. I've been watching the Marvel movies, so now I know there's more than one dimension. It's all very confusing. If you want in on this awesome workshop with Star and Jennifer happening tomorrow night, put Spotlight in the comments, and we will pick 2 winners and contact them after the show tonight. Speaking of Hart House, this is our Hart House sponsored segment where we speak to I guess you'd call them an alumni, a creator or a performer that has worked with Hart House Theatre to talk about the organization itself, their work within the theatre, why it's important, and what they're doing now. Our guest this episode, I'm so excited. We met at the Toronto Fringe, and this past season, she directed the brilliant production of Ode to Lovely War at Hart House Theatre. Please join me in welcoming the wonderful, the brilliant, and amazingly generous Autumn Smith. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh my God. You got me, Amber Tomlin, with You'll Never Walk Alone. I'm like, really? Right before I go on, this is one of my favorite musicals of all time. Yeah, I love Carousel. I know it's complicated, but I love it.
Well, I mean, musical theater is a bit complicated, you know, and I feel like we're in a time where we're really looking at that complication, which is, I don't want to say COVID is brilliant, but one of the gifts that COVID's given us is a pause to have conversation about just that kind of thing.
That's it.
The segues tonight, it's like it was meant to be or something. Thank you so much for saying yes and for joining us. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. And I love that you've been talking about hair with everyone. I'm actually getting a haircut tomorrow.
Okay.
Good timing. This is like my COVID catastrophe.
I think it looks good. What are you talking about?
God. I can't even. I can't. I cannot.
I cut all my hair off last summer, just like all the way, because I used to wear okay, truth bomb. I used to wear hair extensions. I wore hair extensions for years. I was telling our next guest actually at Soundcheck earlier, hair is a theme today. I don't know, but 'cause I was like, it's too hot to wear extensions, and now it's really too hot to wear them. So
it's ridiculously hot today. I don't know.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
This is not breathable material. It is anyway, it doesn't matter. Y'all can't see what on me is sweating, and let's keep it that way. So, Autumn, we're here to talk about you.
Oh, okay. Let's do this.
So, this past season, you directed Ode to Lovely War. It was so brilliant. You are such a visionary, and you think out of the box. It was just so cool. It was like a video game.
Yeah.
So what about it? I mean, I was able to attend the talk you gave before your closing matinee. So I got a bit of the background info, and I'm actually really glad that that's the one I went to, because it was so cool to see what your thought process was. So if we were to like take it into a snack size, take us through a little bit about like the kind of, I guess, basic idea of what Ode to Lovely War is for those who don't know. And how what your approach was and why.
That's a great question. Thank you. Oh, What a Lovely War is a vignette style piece of theater created by the Theater Workshop and under the direction of Joan Littlewood in its first iteration back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And it really put her and her company on the map. And what I love about Joan Littlewood was she was a fierce advocate for the working class voice. And she was an advocate that really believed that art should be accessible to everybody. So I first approached this piece when I was doing my thesis at York. Let's see, 5 years ago I graduated. I'm very young. That's what I gotta say about that.
Tonight, we all are. We're all
totally. So I did it. The first time I did it, I set it in a factory, and I thought, how can I make this piece, which was originally done with pierrots and in like a very bouffant style. What is the contemporary equivalent of that? And I went immediately to the avatars that are present in video games and the violence that keeps perpetuating itself within our culture and how it's presented to our youth and how youth gets sucked in to that narrative. So I was really interested in that. I was really interested in examining misogyny and how women are over-sexualized for a male gaze within the video game world. So there were a lot of layers. It was also something that terrified me. I'm really big lately into doing things that terrify me.
I feel
and
that.
working with video terrifies me. So I'm doing a lot of it now, and it's exciting and still terrifying because most of the time I want to throw my computer at the wall.
I can understand that. Listen, I hear that. I can appreciate that. But oh my gosh, the work you did in this show, it was, you created like the narrator of the kind of that weaves the pieces together was this, custom made, illustration, and you did the voice for it as well, which you would never have known. Only, we got the talk beforehand. It was brilliant, Autumn. It was so cool. And you were so great. And how for your cast to have their leader with them, sort of like carrying them, or not carrying them. They did not need carrying. The ensemble was so wonderful. But just to have you with them along the way.
It's very meta of me. And it's usually something I don't do. I'm not one of those people that goes, I could go on for one of my actors. I would be like, no, anyone can go on other than me. There was a tonality to it that I knew would take an epic amount of time that we didn't have. So I was just like, can you alter the voice? How can we do this? So we can minimize our time commitment to this portion because everything else was so epic, right? Like it was so big. And that's what I love about Hart House is not only does Hart House allow you to engage some of the most amazing emerging talent that this city, province, country has to offer, but it also lets you explore ideas in an epic way and lets you look at them with great specificity. And now I can go away and go, there are things I would still love to change about that piece, and how exciting that it's almost like an incubator for vision. And I love that about Hart House. They do it with their one act festival. They do it with all of their, it's just a great stomping ground for people to explore and learn.
Yeah.
So,
it's such a safe and supportive space as well. Like it really is. It's such a commitment of theirs, and it always has been, in my experience. And I feel like most people would agree. And that's what's so beautiful about it. Is it really is about the work and the experience. In that work.
It takes that kind of collegial environment and brings it to life within the artistic forms, right? It's a learning experience, not just for the artists who are on stage, but for the backstage people. And, every administrator there just has your back. And I will work there time and time again because it's like coming home. And I love working with emerging artists too, because they want to play. And it fell at a very exciting time. I mean, literally, we closed that show and we all went into isolation.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
It was a very weird time, and I had just finished doing Songs for a New World at the same time.
Jeez, which we opened with a video of that from that show.
I know.
So,
That's a great video.
This whole episode is just, I feel like it was, you're all just meant to be in the same.
We're here.
But I'm so glad that the timing of it happened so that that piece was able to see its full, full run, because it was so brilliant. And like I said before, and interestingly, I mean, you just directed the Laramie Project online for Muskoka Pride with the Gravenhurst Opera House. So did that kind of start or introduction into working with video? That must have did that serve? And what kind of how was the experience different going completely online instead of just like, here are aspects, now it's all there?
It's funny, I had this conversation with someone today that Laramie Project is one of those really amazing plays that you can tie together effortlessly to become almost a piece of docudrama, because as it's written, it just lends itself to that kind of form. So we pre-recorded every actor, and I took on the challenge of editing it all together. That's when I almost threw my computer at the wall.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. iMovie and I, we're really close now.
Oh, yeah.
I know things.
We'll talk later.
I did the Laramie Project about 6 years ago at Stage Door Manor in New York, and what was really great about doing it live was Laramie is about a community. And when I initially directed, I had people in the audience just sitting next to audience members and sharing story with them, and was done in an alley kind of format. So everyone was very intimate and very close to all the actors. They were interchangeable almost. So there was something missing in that aspect. Like I'm missing that communal feel of things. But I have to say this time has granted me knowledge that I never thought I would use. I am Zooming all the time. I know that sounds so weird. Someone should write a song.
You know what? I betcha there's a COVID musical, a Zoomsicle.
Zoomsicle.
It's got to be a thing. I mean, if it's not already. And guys, if you're writing a COVID themed musical, get at us, email us, tell us, because I mean, there's gonna be a Zoom or a boom, of I'm sure thematic work.
It has to be coming. But you know what? It's been great, because before COVID hit, I was so busy, and I'm living in Muskoka full time.
Okay, lovely.
So I was commuting a lot.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it was really nice to just have a breath and to be home and to learn things that I haven't done before, like homeschooling our children.
Jeez. Yeah.
Whoa.
Again, like, shout out to all of the parents who are working and doing, and I can't even imagine. Like, who you are. Like I said, you are incredible, and now. But it's interesting. It kind of ties into what we were talking about with Allan, and really like your kind of perspective and your outlook, and it's easy to get kind of sucked into the negative and the loss and the change of it all. But a lot of people are saying exactly that. I get to be at home with my family or my partner or my parents, or read a book that I wouldn't have done before, or have a talk show. Like, who knows? Just all the
things.
So
all the things.
Yeah. Is that so? What's next? I know you're in this Muskoka, so I hope some relaxation for you. But if I know you, there's a bunch of stuff in the can right now.
Well, there's some stuff. I mean, I'm teaching. I'm going back to teach in the fall. Some of my regular gigs. Hi there, Chris. I am the director of drama for the Canadian Children's Opera Chorus. So I'm doing a lot of that work online, which is trying to navigate that is very different.
No kidding. Kidding.
I have my own theater company in Muskoka, which we did Laramie Project with Littlewood Smith, based on Joan Littlewood and my last name. You know,
I love that.
what are you gonna do when you know, your idol has a phenomenal last name that's kind of Muskokan, Littlewood. You know,
Listen,
right?
It's interesting, like I was saying, like the serendipity of a lot of what's happening right now, and that we maybe wouldn't have taken the time to see those things. And we've been given, while there is a lot of, you know, chaos and things that aren't so great, there's the gift of time that a lot of people, especially in our business, don't have, because the hustle is just, it's instant, it's nonstop. So I love that you're getting to at least, you know, spend some time, even though I know that you will always be busy because you are such a generous creator and giver of all the things. But I hope that you can take some time and enjoy the Muskokas, because now you don't have to commute anywhere.
I know. Well, you know what? I have been, and it's really nice. It's really nice to go out and see stars at night, and to travel and just be close to a lake. And you know, I've been podcasting with my friend Mackenzie Horner. We have a podcast about musical theater.
What's it called? Where can we find it?
You can download it anywhere, really. It's called Before the Downbeat.
Love it.
So basically what we do is we just go like in depth into a musical. Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's been great. Like, to just, I love musical theater. I don't get to do enough musical theater. But it's always been one of my first loves in the world, and being able to talk about it. And, you know, we just dropped our Hairspray episode.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. You can't drop the downbeat. There you go.
And we have guests. You'll have to come on as a guest sometime.
Okay. You can't. Okay, you guys heard it. It's gotta happen.
It's gonna happen.
That's so awesome. I love that. And listen, I will be your assistant or co-assistant or whatever on a musical anytime ever. So like,
or I yours.
Oh, we're just putting it all out there. We're putting it all out there. Throw things.
We will work together. That's it. That's what's gonna happen.
And there we go.
So done.
That's it. Autumn Smith, thank you for joining us. Guys, subscribe to Before the Downbeat podcast, and just we're gonna keep posting all the great stuff that this awesome Louis is doing, because holy cow. Hey Joshua.
Hey Josh.
We got fans all over the place. Thank you so much for joining us. Chris Wilson misses you singing at the Fringe office. I think I have a picture of you with my rabbit from the Fringe when we did promo, because I thought that was funny as a producer. The things we do at the Fringe, the things we do.
The things you do.
You know, and I look forward to us all getting to do those things again in person soon. Autumn, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Congrats on Oh What a Lovely Board, Laramie Project. We'll look forward to the podcast and all the stuff you got coming up. We're all about it.
Amazing.
Okay. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
It's so amazing, the things that people are making and continuing to do, and also take pause and not do during this. You guys, I don't know who needs to hear this right now today, whenever it is you're watching this, but you're doing good. You're doing great. You got this. You are not in this alone. We're here for you, the whole community. We're all in this together. And you're doing great. Speaking of great, our final guest tonight, oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled to have her join us. She is our Raise Your Voice featured artist. She has been a friend of the show from, just a few short years ago when she was still a student, and now she has worked at Stratford. She has worked coast to coast. She is such a superstar, and we are so thrilled to have her, Natasha Strilchuk. Welcome! How are you? Look at you, gorgeous girl.
Well, thank you. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I can't complain.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
that's a good place to be.
Right? I know, right? At least today. Today I'm good.
Like Alan said, too far behind, too far ahead. You got to be
Exactly
today, right? I love
Exactly.
it. I love it. So, Natasha? What were you involved with? What was going on when all of this kind of came crashing down? What was going on?
Well, I was in Halifax doing Calendar Girls at Neptune. I was assistant directing through their apprenticeship program, which was really amazing and different. It was my first assistant directing job, so it was really incredible. And then so they were just kind of starting to talk about COVID as I was leaving, and I was flying home, so I was like, oh no, hope we're okay. But then everything seemed fine. I got asked to come in to rehearse on Jungle Book that was at YPT. They were looking for replacements, possibly for their tours coming up. So I was in rehearsals for that. I did a week, and then we got shut down. And luckily I only had a week more of rehearsals, but it was sad. It was just sort of like, oh, this is a cool new thing. Cause it was a kid's show with puppeting and different characters and things like that. So it was really fun. And then, I was like, well, okay, here I am. Just,
we're all,
but I did feel fortunate in the way of I didn't really have anything coming up after that. Like my next musical, at least, was a Christmas contract. So I was like, oh, maybe that'll happen. And then it's not. But
well, it's kind of like what Micah said at the top of the show. It's kind of this roller coaster, right? That none of us bought a ticket for or wanted to be on. It's like the Behemoth. I hate the coasters. They're not the ones where you're kind of like, okay, we know what's happening. It's the one that don't, like the restraint just
right,
and you're like, oh my God, what's happening?
Out at any time.
Yeah, but the good thing about roller coasters is that eventually your feet end up back on the ground.
Exactly.
And you can breathe again, even if you don't know when that's going to be. But we're going to make it. Natasha? What's keeping you inspired these days? How are you keeping the creativity flowing, or maybe not? How are you finding peace? Let's say.
Yeah, it's been a journey for that. Kind of what I can do. Like I feel like I'm trying to take at least one dance class a week that I'm doing virtually to keep me dancing a bit. And but sometimes I don't even do that because I get sad that I don't have room and I don't have people, or sometimes I'm busy and I can't do it. But that's been really helpful, like at least to just move, just to keep active. And I've really discovered that being like working out was never a thing that I like to do. Like it was not. Right? Like I didn't want to go to the gym. Like I was kind of like, well, at least the gym is closed, so I can have an excuse to not be there. But I did realize that if I started doing a couple like fitness apps of doing like body weight exercises and things, that really has helped me, and having like a plan and just to like be like, okay, I'm gonna work out for 20 minutes and then I'll feel better. So it's actually made me realize that I don't need the gym when this comes back. Like I'm just gonna continue to kind of do what I'm doing because it's better than me forcing myself into like a negative space. And I started running outside, which I never did, and it's kind of nice just to make me go outside.
Listen, it's something that we're in rehearsal rooms, or we're backstage, or we're on stage, or we're grabbing our post show drink or whatever. Like I feel like as artists, these are things that we're kind of being given an opportunity to do that maybe we wouldn't let ourselves do before. And I will say, I'm totally with you on the like YouTube, the fitness. There's one, I don't know if you found this. It's a Disney hit dance.
Oh no.
Thing. I'll find it. I'll post it. But she does these like hit dance workouts, and it's on this YouTube channel. It's all Disney. So they do High School Musical and like Hannah Montana and like some of the animated stuff. It's really fun and it's working out, but it doesn't feel like it's working out because you're like, oh my God, High School Musical, I'm dancing now. What am I doing? And then 20 years pass and you're like sweating and it feels good once it's done.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that sounds exactly like the thing I want to do.
Listen, I will send you the info. But speaking of dance, I've been following you on Facebook, and I wanted just to touch on before we get into singing because I know dancing is a big part of your artistry. Capizio has expanded their line of shoes, their character shoes, and I know that was something that was really important to you. That has happened and that's available now because I've been kind of following the journeys of a lot of our theater community members. So that's so wonderful that, you know, that is happening now, that change is happening. What is the significance of that for you to have that representation now recognized by a company? I mean, it's about time, but now it's, you know, what does that mean to you as a performer?
It's honestly something I never expected, to be honest. It was something that I kind of was like, well, you know, it's always going to be something that has to be custom or it's something that has to be explained, you know, or it might be a battle you won't win in certain like theater companies, depending. I think Canada, for me, in my experience, has mostly been positive in that regard. And if I do have like, oh, this, like these tights don't match and you're asking me to wear tights in the show the whole time. So is there anything we can do? And generally it's received well, but sometimes it's not. And I think like growing up as a ballerina first, when I was young, that like, there wasn't any point shoes of different colors. You had to put foundation on them and on your straps and things like that. And so it's hard to be like, oh, this is a thing that will change when it never has before. And so it's amazing to see the changes like of brown and black ballerinas getting point shoes now that are made for them that aren't just custom and you don't have to pay more. And character shoes, same thing and Leducas are doing that. And they just had their sale this week and I bought a new pair. So I was like so excited. And so it's so nice. I'm glad that there will be people coming out of theater school that now, or people who are thinking now to join this business who will see that and be like, oh wow, like they are thinking about other types of skin and other types of people. And hopefully that will create a positive space for them to move forward in that if they feel like they want to pursue this, because it's really difficult when you don't see those people or shoes or things that are for you. Then you're like, well, you know, I probably don't have a chance because I don't see myself. Right?
Well, it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully are they at an equitable price? Is the line?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So far, it's all the same now as the regular shoes. And you like for Leducas at least, everything you can get online. And they have, I think, 5 different shades now, which, you know, I think still needs to expand. Yeah. But it's a step in the right direction for sure. And I think that it, you know, it's in like, I'm taking it in good faith that they will continue, you know, like I want to remain hopeful that it won't just end there, you know, and I think that it will. Like, I think that the climate that we're in, that have the time, we're able to talk about it. We can continue to talk about it in a way that is positive and in a way that we just want to be represented, you know, like we're not malicious, we're not doing anything to you know but we just
ask. It's literally like
right
baseline stuff we're talking about here.
Exactly.
And friends out there, like, write those letters, write those companies, keep encouraging that expansion to happen. It's based on stuff. so and I thank you for letting us have that conversation and expressing the significance of that. And I think it's hopefully encouraging for people to continue to talk about it, to have that expansion of inclusivity in our community. I think we take for granted how liberal and inclusive and accepting we are as performers. We still have a lot of work to do within our own community, and I think this is a great first step. And like you said, in good faith that we'll continue to have those conversations and continue to expand on those inclusive movements.
Absolutely. And
the best part of it all is that you are going to perform for us as our last performance of the night. I can't think of a better way to send everyone out into the world for another couple of weeks. What are you going to share with us this evening?
I'm going to sing River by Joni Mitchell. It's been a song that's really spoken to me this week and the ups and downs of what we're going through. So I thought it'd be nice to share.
Beautiful. Natasha, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your beautiful voice with us.
Thank you, Jenny. Coming on Christmas, they're cutting down trees, they're putting up reindeer, singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on, but it don't snow here, it stays pretty green. I'm gonna make a lot of money, I'm gonna quit this crazy scene. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long to teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. Oh, I made my baby cry. He tried hard to help me, he put me at ease. He loved me so naughty, made me weak in the knees. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I'm so hard to handle, I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I've gone and lost the best baby I ever had. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long to teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. Oh, I made my baby cry. And I wish I had a river I could skate away on.
Natasha, thank you so much. It was beautiful. Right. Well, wishing you the best where you are, and thank you for joining. I'm gonna send you that Disney hit dance class.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Jenny.
Take care, sweetheart. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to all of our guests. We're going to post the information, of course, on how to get tickets for Gabby Epstein on Live, presented by Stream Stage and the Harold Green Jewish Theater. That is happening Wednesday night. And of course, tomorrow night, U of T Spotlights Acting Through Song with Star Ming and Jen Stewart is tomorrow night. Put Spotlight in the comments if you would like to enter the draw to have one of two spots to take part in that workshop. Thank you to all of our guests. And we're going to send you out into the world with this little clip of a new single that just dropped from a friend of the show, Leah Elise Canali. And the song is called Iconic. And she has a show coming up for Digital Pride Fest this Friday at 7:30. And it's her show, Drag Jason. And you can find all the information on our Facebook as well in the week leading up, which would be this week. So guys, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Much more than meets the eye. She touches me deep inside. That girl I wanna be. She sets my soul free.